A pleasant morning to you all, wherever you are joining from this morning. This is Amen for Men, brought to you by Brother Paul Blake from the island of Jamaica. And this is indeed a blessed morning. And I always want to challenge our men, challenge our brothers to advance in the kingdom of God, advance in the family, advance everywhere that they serve in this blessed earth. And so this morning, again, I want to offer some encouragement to us as we try to be the best men that we can be for our communities, for our families, for everywhere that we serve and stand out as men. This morning, I want to encourage us in a probably a slightly different way this morning. As Amen for Men, we do a variety of things. We look at the scriptures in some aspects. We look at different areas of personal development for men. We look at different issues that affect our men from time to time. And so this morning, I want to basically do a little bit of motivation for our brothers. We are living in challenging times, and there are many obstacles around us, many things that cause us distraction, and many times as men we often feel as as if we are inadequate, and we want more for our lives. We want more for our families. We want more in terms of our careers. We want more, and God really has placed us here on earth to be more. And Jesus in John 10 and verse number 10 speaks that I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. And so God has placed us here on earth to live full lives, to maximize our lives as his children. But ever so often we hit that rut in the road sometimes in finding what I call our purpose, our why. Why am I here? What is my purpose for being placed on this earth? And so this morning, I want to share with you some motivation, and the topic is ready, set, go, finding purpose. That is ready, set, go, finding purpose. And I want to just break down these three elements: what it means to be ready, what it means to get set, and what it means to go. And it's all centered around finding purpose. Ready, preparing the mindset for purpose. And if anybody knows me well, will know that I speak a lot about mindset, because mindset is important. The way that we think is important to the direction that our lives take. And I want to bring the image of an athlete who is involved in a race, and I'll use the 100-meter as an example. And we know that there are three basic positions in a race before the race gets underway. And the one position is ready, the other one is set, and the last position is go. And I want to just elaborate on these positions and bring it home in looking at the subject of finding our purpose. So in the ready position, the athlete stands with a relaxed focus and mentally prepared, visualizing the path that is before them and centering their energy. It is a moment of calm before the intensity of the race, where they're aligning their mind and body toward the goal. And here the athlete checks their stance and ensures that everything is in position and that they are ready for the race. The, when the athlete is in that ready position, it is not about what they did in terms of their training to get there, because when the ready position, training has to culminate in that position. So all the preparation that they would have been doing before is bundled up in this particular position of being ready. The ready position in purpose here means to prepare, to align, and to build on that inner confidence to step onto the path, ready. And so there are two ready positions, really. There's the ready position of standing in the area where the race is. But there's also a ready position where the athlete stoops down and gets into the blocks. And when they get into those blocks, it is signifying that they must be prepared when that gun goes off, ready. As people, as men, we have to be ready. In finding our purpose, there is a state of readiness that we must go through. And so there are some questions that we need to ask ourselves in this ready position. What makes you feel energized? Think about the things that light you up, conversations that stir you up, things that you would do where you don't even realize that the time has disappeared from you. What is it that makes you energized? In finding our purpose, we have to be able to find that thing that motivates us. And I always liken it onto this. What is that one thing that you would do that even if you are not getting paid to do it, you would still do it anyway and still enjoy doing it? What is it that strikes your passion? What is it that motivates you to go on? What is it that wakes you up in the morning with a sense of excitement? What makes you feel energized? What are your natural strengths? Reflect on the qualities, the skills, the talents that you have that come naturally to you. And these things oftentimes are what points us to our purpose. Regardless of who we are, we all have some unique qualities. We have some skills, some unique skills, and we have some talents, some things that come naturally to us. And so a part of finding our purpose also is that we must learn to avoid comparisons. Learn to stop measuring yourself against the abilities and talents and skills of others, because we are all unique. The Bible says that we are created in the image of God, and all of us created in the image of God are created for a unique purpose. We have different qualities, we have different skills, we have different talents. So finding purpose means that we also have to look at the different qualities we have, the different skills and the talents that we have. Every single one of us that are placed here on earth has a talent, has something that they are skilled at, has a new unique quality. The other question is, what problems do you feel drawn to solve? Purpose often lies in what we care about, what we care about most deeply, or what we wish to change in the world. Mine, as you know, is motivation. I like the whole idea of seeing people change from positions of self-doubt, low self-esteem and self-confidence, and seeing them grow to find their purpose. So what problems are you drawn to solve? What thing in this world would you like to see change so that others can maximize who they are? Imagine yourself at the end of your life, looking back. What do you want to be remembered for? What impact do you want to make on this world? And I dare say, my brothers, that as we journey through this world, we must all remember that God has placed us here on earth to impact the world in any way we can, in a positive way. Don't think that greatness lies in the chosen few. Don't think that leadership lies in the chosen few. Every man of God can be great. Every man of God can be a leader. But we must first find our purpose. And so the question is, what impact do you want to make on the world? What impact do you want to leave behind? And I ask, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And understand that when we talk about making an impact, we don't necessarily have to think about making an impact on a global scale, because many times we have the false assumption that only those who have impacted the world on a global stage are really worthy of remembrance. And that's not true. You can be great in your community, you can be great in your country, you can be great in your own circle, because greatness does not necessarily reside in how many persons you have impacted in the world, but more so, who have you impacted in your circle. The majority of us as human beings will never ever be in a position where we are going to impact the world globally. But it doesn't say that we can't impact where we are, in our communities, in our churches, in our schools, in our interactions with people on a daily basis. So what do you want to be remembered for? Purpose is that inner drive that gives meaning to our actions. It is that unique blend of our values, our talents, our passions that guides us towards fulfilling work and a life that is well lived. I want to suggest to us, brothers, that we want to live lives that are well lived. At the end of our days, when we depart this world, we want to know that we have lived a life that is impactful, a life that is worthy, a life that people can look at it as an example. And that has to do with us finding our purpose, our values, our talents, our passions are what guides us towards fulfilling work and a life that is well lived. So what are our values? What are our values? Values are the things that we believe in, our principles that we hold close and dear to our hearts. And these are the things that really matter most to us. Values like kindness, integrity, growth, service. They are what guide our choices. So, in other words, before we can even think of finding our purpose, we must know what are the principles and beliefs that guide our lives. What are the things that we hold close to our hearts? What are the things that are dear to us? Our talents is another thing. What are our talents? These are our innate or inborn abilities and our strengths, the skills that we can cultivate and use to make a meaningful contribution. And I have to suggest this also, that many times we think of our talents. Many times we think that our talents only come naturally, but talents also can be learned. You can learn to do something and do it well. You might not be born with, because there are many of us who are born with a natural talent to do some things, but the majority of us are not necessarily born with natural talents. But talents are something that can be nurtured, that can be grown, that can be developed, that can be discovered. The majority of us at this point, in my life, as a 51-year-old man, there are things that I'm doing now that when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily know that I could do these things. I have passions now at this stage of my life that I really wasn't passionate about when I was a teenager. But over time, I have discovered that I have a passion for certain things. I have a talent for certain things. And these things I have developed over time. Then we talk about our interests and our passions, and these are the activities, the causes, and the ideas that excite us. Purpose often aligns with what naturally energizes us and what we are eager to learn about or to work on. But there are some things that inhibit our purpose. And we began talking about mindset. In this ready position, when the athlete looks out at the track, one of the things that the athlete has to do is that he has to remove mental barriers. He has to remove this. Yes, he may be nervous when he starts the race, but he cannot allow nervousness to dictate what he does in the race, because if he does that, he's going to lose. And so when we are in this ready position where we are finding our purpose, we need to address our fears. We need to address our self-doubt and what I call the imposter syndrome. Yes, these at the beginning may be normal sometimes, but we must not allow them to dictate our lives. So we must remove mental barriers. In the ready position, there must also be a strategy. We can't find purpose without having strategy. We must know where we are going, or where we want to go. And so as we strategize, we must look at some things that are important to us. And one of them I want to, look at, discuss with us, is what is our self-talk? When we speak of ourselves in terms of finding our purpose and direction in our lives, what are we saying to ourselves? And many times, the thing that defeats us in finding our purpose is that we keep doubting ourselves and we talk of ourselves in negative terms. I can't. I won't. I am not worthy. I'm not good enough. Nobody will. So, strategy means that we have to change our perception of ourselves. And one of the things I have to say to us, brethren, if we don't change the perception of ourselves, if we don't change how we think, we will not have other people thinking positively about us. If we speak of ourselves in negative terms, then don't be surprised if other people around us speak of us in the same way. And so our self-talk is important. What are the words that we are saying to ourselves? Another thing is that we have to visualize our success. In other words, as we are in this ready position, let me share something with you about an athlete. There are 8 to 9 athletes in a race, and I guarantee that none of those athletes go in that race to come second. Every single one of them goes in that race to come first. Every single one of those athletes go in that race and they visualize themselves at the finish line rejoicing and celebrating because they have come first. But we all know that only one can come first. But guess what? All of them enter that race visualizing in their minds that they are going to be at the finish line celebrating. In other words, brothers, as we think of strategy, we must also visualize our success. If we can't see our own success in this life, then nobody else is going to see our success. If we can't visualize ourselves in victory, then don't expect other persons to believe in who we are. Remember also your past achievements and cultivate a positive mindset. You know, I keep telling persons that the God that we serve is a God that can keep doing the same thing over and over again. And so the God that would have brought us through in our past achievements is the same God that is working for us in this present. So as we pull on our past achievements, remember that what you have done before, you can do again. And remember, success for us is not a one-time event. Success for us is an ongoing thing. And so as we look for our purpose, let us understand that we are going to have achievement after achievement after achievement. But it begins with our mindset. So what is your self-talk? Then we must understand that all of us have a unique call on our lives. Purpose is unique for each person. My purpose does not look like your purpose. Your purpose does not look like anybody else. Our purpose is unique. The things that I'm talented at, you might not be talented at. The impact that I can make in one area, you may not be able to make an impact in that area, but you can make an impact somewhere else. Our purpose is unique, and we must embrace the uniqueness that God has given to us. Can you imagine what this world would be like if all of us on earth had the same purpose, had the same unique quality, had the same set of skills, had the same set of talents? It would be a boring place in which to exist. So let us embrace the fact that God has made us unique. So as we get ready, as we are in that ready position, let us understand that we must remove the mental barriers, we must strategize, and we must understand the unique calling that is on our lives. That is ready. But then there's another position that the athlete goes in that is called set. And in the set position, the athlete is poised, is focused, and fully prepared to launch forward. Every muscle is engaged, their breathing is controlled, and their mind is focused on the moment. In this position, it requires clarity, it requires strength, and a readiness to act the instant they hear go or the gun goes off. And much like the athlete in this position, finding purpose involves getting ready for action. In other words, as we are in the ready position, if we are going to find purpose, let us understand that we cannot exist in the ready position. You can't stay too long in the position of ready. You can't stay too long in preparation. And that is one of the problems that many of us run in. We are always in the ready position. Many of us, we sit week after week, month after month, year after year, making preparations for greatness, making preparation to find our purpose. Guess what? You cannot find your purpose by resting in the ready position alone. You have to get set. The athlete is, and as a matter of fact, let me bring something to the fore. Do you realize that when the athlete is in that ready position, the starter does not keep them in that position for too long? When the athlete is in the set position, the starter does not keep them there for too long. As a matter of fact, in the ready position, the average time that the athlete spends in that ready position before the starter says set is about 5 to 8 seconds. And even 8 seconds is a bit too long. The starter does not allow them to stay in that position of ready or set for too long because it causes a strain on their muscles. It causes a strain on their emotional state, on their mental state. So the starter really wants to get the race going as fast as possible, as quick as possible. And so, if we are going to find our purpose, let us remember that we cannot exist in this position of ready for too long. We must be prepared to move to the position of set. You have done the work in ready. You have done all the preparation in ready. You have done the inner work to understand what is it that drives you. And now you must prepare yourself to move forward with that clarity and confidence. And so when you are in the position of set, here are some things I want to bring out to you. There must be goal setting. Must be goal. You have some goals and objectives. Every athlete that is involved in a race has a particular goal they want to win. Every athlete sees themselves at the finish line. So there must be goals. There must be long-term goals. There must be medium-term goals. And there must be short-term goals. And so goal setting here also involves creating a plan. Nobody can find purpose without having a plan. We need a roadmap. What is your roadmap for your life? When we talk about finding purpose, we want to have a purpose for our lives, but we don't have a roadmap. In our organization that my wife and myself have, we also do a thing that is called a vision boarding, and vision boarding really involves having a board and cutting things from magazines, words and pictures from magazines that align with the goal that you have for your life. So in other words, let us say that you have never traveled and you want to travel in the future. On your vision board, you would cut out the picture of probably a plane or probably a set of suitcases at the airport, and you would place them on your vision board so that your mind's eye can see it. You might cut out a phrase that says, I want to travel to X place in the future, and you put it on your vision board so that you have it right before you and you're able to see it. And these things actually become, as you work towards your plan, they begin to manifest in your life. Now notice, it doesn't work for everybody because different things work for different people. But as you think about creating a plan for your life, you might also want to think about creating a vision board. So whatever goal you have set in your life, you can find a picture, an image, or some words or phrases that will help you or guide you onto that. So you might not be married and you want a family. You can cut out a picture of a family that captures your idea of what a family is and place it on your vision board where you can see it. And as you commit those things to your mind, you begin to work towards them in finding what purpose is for you. So as you create the plan, there must also be support and accountability. There's a saying that we use in Jamaica, and I don't know if it is popular anywhere else, but there's a saying that we use that says, "No man is an island, no man stands alone." That is true. As we find our purpose, as we are moving towards our purpose, let us remember that we can't do it alone. We need support, and we also need accountability. We need support from friends. We need support from mentors. We need support from our family members. We need support from the people around us who mean us good. And then, yes, we need support, but we also need accountability. As we move towards our goals, one of the things that we will find is that life gets in the way many times. And uh, because of the different circumstances that are happening in our lives, sometimes we fall back a little bit. Sometimes we get discouraged. Sometimes we get weakened. And we must have those persons in our lives that's going to call our attention to the fact that we have set certain goals for our lives. We have set out to find our purpose. And when we are slacking off, somebody must, give us a nudge and say, remember that this is your particular objective and it is time for you to come back to this place of finding your purpose. You must join. One of the things I can suggest as you talk about finding purpose is joining a community group or finding a mentor to help you to navigate your challenges. I'm heavily involved in coaching and mentorship. I have a group of young boys at a school that I mentor, and I mentor other people, right? It is important that we find mentorship. I am also somebody who has been mentored in my life. So mentorship is important. Engage with our strengths and talents. Just as the athlete engage with every muscle, we must engage our unique talents and abilities, because these are the tools that keep us moving closer to fulfilling our purpose. And one of the most important thing, my brothers, that is going to help us to find our purpose is that we must always remember our why. Our why. WHY. Purpose requires that we have a clear view on why we are taking this journey in the first place. You must answer why. When I sit down to engage with persons in coaching or mentoring, I always ask them, what is your why? What is your why? My why is I want to make an impact. I want to make a positive impact, especially on the lives of young men. And that's why I work mostly with young men. I want to see young men transformed from low self-confidence, from self-doubt, from focusing on negative things to maximizing who they are as human beings. So your why is important. Why are you doing this thing? Do you want it just do you want to do it just to be glorified? Do you want to just be recognized? Or do you want to make a positive impact on this world? Why is important. And then you must also prepare for the unknown. In goal, we have to remember that the athlete really doesn't know every step of the race. They are ready for it. But anything can happen in the race where you need to make an adjustment. We all know in hurdles, when our athletes are going over the hurdles, we know that there's a particular leg that the athlete used to go over the hurdle, what's called the lead leg. But do you know that sometimes, as the athlete is hurdling, sometimes the athlete has to change their lead leg? The athlete has to be willing to adjust even in the middle of the race. Sometimes when the athlete goes off in especially the 110 meter hurdle, he realizes that when he goes to the first hurdle, he might be a little bit too close. So he has to adjust himself to go over the second hurdle. And if you don't adjust yourself, that's why a lot of times you have athletes crashing into the hurdles and sometimes damaging themselves. So there must be place for adjustment. So as we think about finding our purpose, then we must also remember that we have to make room for adjustment. In purpose, we prepare our mind and spirit. We are ready to face the challenges and we are ready to stay on course. But also remember that in the midst of all of that, we must be ready to make adjustments. We must be ready we must be prepared for the unknown. I've always said to persons when we are having conversation that life happens. There's one thing that we can't control is life. We can make preparation for life, but we can't control every detail of life. Life happens. There's a new term that a lot of persons are using. They say that life is lifing. Life is lifing. And so don't think that the way that you have set out your goals and the way that you have designed your strategies and all of that it is always going to go that way. Sometimes we have to take a step back and make adjustments. In the set position, we have done the reflection and we have defined our purpose. Now we must focus and get ready for the next step. What is the next step? Action. This position bridges intent and movement, making us ready to go forward with strength and purpose. It is now time to execute. Go. This is when the athletes explode into action. Every ounce of preparation that they have done, every focus, every strength that they have garnered is released in this powerful, intentional movement towards the finish line. This is the point of commitment where all the planning and positioning are now going to come together in forward motion. Just the other day, I read an article where, I'm from Jamaica, so we all know about Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt's entire career as an athlete is summed up in about 20 seconds. And for running about 20 seconds of his career, Usain Bolt had to train over 8 years. A 20-second career, all of his records, his world records, about 20 seconds. Imagine that. You have to train all of that time for a career that spans less than 30 seconds. Tremendous. So in this go position, we are going to explode into action. This is where our purpose is transformed from intention to action. It is no longer about preparation or visualization. It is about doing. In other words, there is ready, there is set. These are preparation stages. You can't exist in that space. You must go. If you keep on preparing and you don't move to action, it's going to serve you no purpose. So you must be willing to take that first step. Just as an athlete pushes off the starting blocks when he hears that gun, we must also be willing to take that first step, even if we don't see the full journey before us. Purpose requires action, even if it's imperfect, because real progress begins with that first move. So there might be a brother on the platform this morning who wants more for his life. You want to go to school. You want to start a business. You want to get a new job. And you have been preparing for these things. You want a family. Guess what? If you keep in that position of ready, set, you are never ever going to achieve the things that you want to achieve. You must be willing to take that first step. You have to overcome hesitation. One of the things in athletics, when the athlete is in the block, there is something that is called their reaction time, and the blocks actually measure the reaction time. And that reaction time really has to do with the athlete's reaction to when the gun goes off. Those who can um, synchronize with the gun are usually those who do better in the race. So we must overcome hesitation. Don't be the athlete in the block after the gun has gone, because again, in athletics there are some athletes who are known to have very bad reaction times. Usain Bolt was actually one of them, but he made up for his poor reaction time in his natural raw talent. Because Usain Bolt had something that many other athletes did not have, and one of them was actually his height. He was able to utilize his height. So even though he had a very poor reaction time, he made up for it in other areas. But we must overcome that desire to hesitate. You know, you know how many of us we defeat ourselves by hesitating. We have made the plans and we know that the roadmap that we have is a roadmap that can work, but we often allow fear to cause us to hesitate and keep us back. When pursuing purpose, we must overcome our fear. We must overcome our self-doubt and that lingering reluctance that we often have to step out and step forward boldly. We must also sustain our momentum. Purpose is not a one-time action, but it is what we call a sustained journey. It is like a race. Once we are in motion, we must stay engaged, continue aligning our actions to keep pace with our purpose, pushing forward even when we face resistance or fatigue. As the athlete runs down the track, there are actually there are three phases of the race, I believe. One, when the athlete comes out of the block, and they are what you call the drive phase. You notice when an athlete comes off the block, their head most times is down, and about 40 meters down the track, they straighten up, and they go into another phase. And that is the phase that actually takes them to the finish line. Now, one of the things that we, in terms of when athletes are running, is that when they come up of that final phase where they are going to the finish line, they really can't go any faster. It is the momentum that they develop from the blocks to that first phase that brings them up into the drive phase that carries them to the finish line. And that is why you will see many athletes when they get to the finish line, they start tying up and all of that because they are trying to go faster. But guess what? That drive phase is what allows them to go fast. When they are coming to the finishing line, and as much as they are struggling to go faster, they really can't go any faster. And so the coaches will tell you that when you are going through that race, you have to make sure that you maintain your momentum. And that is what will help you to win the race. So the athletes who are able to maintain their momentum during the race are those athletes who actually do very well. So as we think about our purpose, let us also remember that we must do our best to maintain our momentum throughout the race. We have to take a leap of faith, reinforce the action. You know, when we have self-doubt, you move to action, because the real progress here comes in the first step, right? You don't see the whole staircase, but take that first step. Embrace growth over perfection, because again, one of the things that defeats us from finding our purpose is that many of us want perfection rather than growth. It's not about perfection. It's about growing through the different stages of our lives. Encourage, we must, desire to have progress rather than perfection. Allow mistakes to be part of our journey into finding purpose. It will never be a perfect picture. Acknowledge that there are going to be setbacks. Setbacks are inevitable, but resilience and persistence is the key. Here's what we need to do. As we go through finding our purpose, don't be afraid to share your failures and your success. Stay motivated. Revisit your why from time to time to make sure that you're on the right path. Don't celebrate only the big wins, but celebrate even the small ones. In finding our purpose, go is the moment we turn our plans into practice, when it becomes real for us. It is a phase where we have to be courageous, we have to be committed, where we can now actively live out our purpose daily, step by step, focused on the finish line that we have envisioned in our hearts. Before we can succeed, my brothers, we must see success before us. You're not only working to be a good husband, but you know that you're a good husband because you see yourself at the finish line with your family. You're not only working to be a good leader, you are a good leader because you see yourself at the end of the finishing line as a good leader. You're not only working to be a good student because you see yourself at the finish line being a good student. Remember, my brothers, as I close, that finding purpose and fulfillment isn't a passive journey, it is an active journey. It requires us to be ready, it requires us to be set, and then we have to go with all that we have in us. Ready your mind and heart by discovering what truly drives you. Set your intentions and prepare your path with focus and commitment. And then you must go boldly. If you have ever watched Star Trek has a famous quote that says, "Let us go boldly where no one has gone before." So let us go boldly, embracing action and trusting in the strength that we have built. Purpose awaits every one of us, my brothers, if we can learn how to step out in faith and be resilient. So it is not time to hold back. It is time for ready, set, go. Life has a meaning. Life has an impact. And we can impact this life with meaning and purpose. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Light of the world, you step down.